ITV Lunchtime News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good afternoon. US officials say Israel was responsible for a retaliatory attack on Iran overnight, almost a week since Tehran's drone and missile assault. There have been repeated calls on Benjamin Netanyahu's government to show restraint this week with a desperate drive of diplomacy. But this morning's strike does appear to have been limited in its impact, with Iranian media playing down the damage despite reports of explosions near the city of Isfahan. With the latest, here's John Ray. Well, let's get the latest from our correspondents in the region and in the US. Robert Moore is in Washington. But first to Lucy Watson in Tel Aviv with this assessment on the impact of today's retaliatory strikes. Lucy Watson reporting from Tel Aviv there. Well, let's turn to Robert Moore in. I've lost sound there with Robert in Washington. We're moving on now, and within the last half hour, Nicola Sturgeon has spoken after her husband was charged with embezzlement. Peter Murrell, who was previously the S&P chief executive, was charged last night in connection with a police investigation into the party's finances. And this morning, Humza Yousaf, the Scottish First Minister, confirmed Mr Murrell has resigned his S&P membership. Our Scotland reporter Louise Scott is in Glasgow for us. Louise, let's bring you some other news now. 15 former soldiers being investigated for perjury over the bloody Sunday shooting in Londonderry in Northern Ireland will not face any charges. A Post Office in-house lawyer is giving evidence at the inquiry into the Horizon IT scandal for a second day. Roderick Williams faced some difficult questions this morning, including from a former lawyer for a wrongly accused sub-postmaster. Still ahead this lunchtime, India goes to the polls. The start of first, within the last half hour, Nicola Sturgeon has spoken after her husband was charged with embezzlement. We'll go back to Louise Scott now, who is in Glasgow, with the reaction on that. Next, the Prime Minister has set out plans to crack down on what he calls Britain's sick note culture. Rishi Sunak is planning reform of the arrangements by which GPs sign people off work. He claims that benefits have become a lifestyle choice and says work is good for people. Critics, though, accuse the PM of using hostile rhetoric and say the plans are a full-on assault on disabled people. Here's our political correspondent, Carl Dinnan. And finally, this lunchtime, they knew it was coming, but Taylor Swift fans got an extra surprise in the small hours of this morning. The singer posted artwork on social media announcing she's dropping not one, but 2 new albums. The Tortured Poets Department, her 11th studio record, comes with extra bonus tracks. It's said to be the singer's most personal yet, peppered with references to her exes. And as Faye Barker reports, the Swifties cannot get enough. Who doesn't love a Swiftie surprise? That's it for now. Charlene is back with the evening news at 6:30. The news where you are is next. But from everyone on the lunchtime team, bye-bye.